Everyone had been begging MAC to bring back their iconic nude lipsticks, and in 2025, they finally delivered. I have picked up a whole bunch of shades over the past several months, and so I thought we would go ahead and swatch them and try them on and do some lip combinations for the ones that, on me, look better with a lip liner. And I feel like any time is a good time for this type of video because as far as I can tell, MAC is planning to keep these shades as permanent. I guess you never know, but personally, I don't see these shades going anywhere anytime soon. I think at this point, they have one of the best, if not the best, nude lipstick range on the market. And they also have a beautiful range in the formulas that are offered. And just for reference, my swatches are going to be from the lightest shades to the darkest shades, so let's go ahead and get into it. First, we have the shade Flesh Pot, and I know what you're thinking, why is someone with medium deep skin tone getting a shade like Flesh Pot? I actually do think that it's a versatile shade if you use it in combination with other shades or with deeper liners. And of course, it can be used as a mixing shade as well. I also just feel like it's such an iconic shade and it was hard not to be part of that in some way. This is the Maximal Sleek Satin Lipstick formula and it's described as a warm light beige. For this lip combo, I used the Root For Me lip liner from MAC, and I gotta say, I actually love the way this combo came out. Next, we have the shade Hug Me. This is one of the Luster Glass Sheer Shine lipsticks. I absolutely love this formula because basically it feels like a really comfortable lip balm on the lips and it has a very shiny look to it. The pigmentation is quite buildable, so I often go in for several layers. This particular shade is pretty new to me. I would describe it as a lot more peachier toned than Flesh Pot. It definitely has a bit more depth as well, and I also paired it with the Root For Me lip liner. My preference is definitely wearing this one with a lip liner. Next, we have the shade Faux, which is a Maximal Sleek Satin lipstick, and I actually realized that this lipstick, I think, is discontinued. It's also not technically one of the MAC nudes, but to me, it kind of falls into that category. I got it as part of the Ryan Destiny lip kit that came out about a year ago, and it's one of the launches that really inspired me to play around more with different lip combinations, especially some of the lighter nude tone shades. I used to think that I couldn't wear shades like these, but that's honestly simply not true. I just didn't know exactly how to wear them. This lipstick looks great with chestnut, but in this combo, I paired it with Unearthly's Reap lip liner. Next, we have the shade Signature Move, and this is a Luster Glass Sheer Shine formula. It is described simply as a grayish. This has become one of my favorite lipsticks from MAC. I think that this really is my perfect nude, or one of my perfect nudes. There's absolutely nothing that I feel like I have to add to get this shade to look the way that I want it to look on me. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy doing a lip combination, but I absolutely love the way that this shade looks all on its own. I also mentioned before that I really like the formula of the Luster Glass Sheer Shine lipsticks. Next, we have the shade Stone. I feel like this is a very iconic shade, and I know that what people love about it is that it is cool toned. This is one of the Maximal Sleek Satins. It's described as a muted grayish taupe brown. I think this is such a cool shade. On me, it's not the type of shade that I think looks super great all on its own. I can definitely wear it. It's just that I feel like there's something a little bit off with the undertone. But I definitely know that there are a lot of people that can totally pull this off by itself. I went in with a deep brown lip liner. This is Doom from Unearthly, just to add a little bit of definition, and here is what it looks like with that lip liner. Okay, then I also got the recent launch of Stone, which is in the Maximal Silky Matte formula, which I believe is the way that it was when it originally came out quite some time ago. I want to say that there is maybe just a touch more depth with this one and maybe a little bit more coolness to it. I think I like the way that this one looks on its own a little bit more than the other formula. However, I do prefer even this one with a lip liner, so I went in again with the Doom lip liner from Unearthly. It's a really, really deep brown lip liner. I just used it to give a little bit of definition, and I really like the way this turned out. Now we have the shade Hodgepodge. This is a Maximal Sleek Satin formula, and this is described as a mocha mid-toned brown. I was worried that it was going to be a little bit warm toned for me. I actually ended up liking it quite a bit, but it is very close to my skin tone, so much so that I definitely feel like it needs a darker lip liner. Like, this is concealer lip for me, for sure. Here is what it looks like without any lip liner, just all on its own. I do like to show as many shades as possible all on their own, just so that you know what they look like on my skin tone. I feel like the only shades it didn't make sense to do that with were the very lightest shades, including Flesh Pot. And here's what Hodgepodge looks like paired with Doom. Next we have the shade Alone Time, which is another Luster Glass Sheer Shine lipstick. This is also a really pretty shade. It's just a little bit lighter than Signature Move. So on me, it's not my perfect nude right out of the tube. When I apply it on my lips, it has just a touch more depth than my skin tone. And I would say that it's slightly cool toned. After building up a few layers, here is what it looks like all on its own. Both Signature Move and Alone Time ended up being such favorite of mine, but with Alone Time, I did go ahead and go in with a deeper liner. I used Doom again and just added a little bit of definition. That makes the shade even more perfect for me. And here is what swatches of those first 8 shades look like on my arm altogether. Now let's go ahead and get into the second set of shades, which are the deeper ones in my collection. Next we have the shade Truth Be Untold. This is one of the Maximal Sleek Satin lipstick formula. Now that we're getting into some of the deeper shades in my collection, we're getting into the shades that I didn't feel it was necessary to do a try on with a lip liner. I would say this shade has maybe a touch of warmth to it, just a little bit of a hint of rosiness. One difference that I found between the Sleek Satin and the Luster Glass Sheer Shine is that the Luster Glass Sheer Shine just felt a little bit more buildable and thinner. You get a bit more pigment right out of the gate with the Sleek Satin formula. Whirl is in the Silky Matte formula, and this is described as a dirty rose. I believe this shade had previously existed as a lip pencil and then it came back as a lipstick. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the story with this one. All of these formulas I've talked about so far, including the Silky Matte formula, are just so comfortable. And you can see when I swatch it on my hand, it's not like a very kind of super matte formula. Like maybe it has a touch of satin in there. Anyway, I think this shade looks really nice all on its own. I think this is a really great nude for my skin tone. Uncensored is a cool dark brown. It is one of the Luster Glass Sheer Shine lipstick formula. I'm super excited because we are going to be getting into some of the deeper shades, and there's some shades in here that I'm absolutely crazy about. Just as with the other Luster Glass Sheer Shine lipsticks I tried on, this has a buildable opacity, so you can wear it as a wash of color or you can build it up for a much higher opacity and intensity. Because it is a deeper shade, you do have to be careful to apply it evenly just so it doesn't look patchy because it's not a full opacity. But here is what Uncensored looks like all on its own. Next, we have the shade called I Deserve This, and this is also a Luster Glass Sheer Shine lipstick. It's a similar depth to the shade that I just swatched and tried on called Uncensored, but this one has a bit more kind of red undertone and more warmth to it as opposed to Uncensored. I do think that you can see that in the swatch and when I try it on. It would be a bit hard for me to pick a favorite between the two, but I think that I Deserve This might edge out Uncensored just a little bit, but you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. Next, we have the shade Antique Velvet. I feel like this is another classic as well. This is the Maximal Silky Matte formula, and this shade is simply described as an intense brown. I would say similar to I Deserve This, that you have that kind of more warm reddish undertone, but you definitely get more pigment right out of the gate with this shade than you do with I Deserve This. And that's because this is the Silky Matte formula, whereas I Deserve This is the Luster Glass Sheer Shine formula. Honestly, which shade you chose would probably come down to your personal preference when it comes to formula. Next, we have the shade Bare Maximal, and this is one of the Silky Matte lipstick formula, and this shade is described as a deep rich chocolate brown. I honestly didn't know that MAC made brown lipsticks that were this deep, and I think that is so wonderful. I also really love the fact that you don't just get one shade that's in this range, you get several. And in my try on, I am wearing this all on its own without any lip liner. I'm not having any issues with it, either in applying it or feeling like I have to add something else to make a lip combination. This type of shade is just always going to have my heart. The last shade that I'm swatching and trying on is Film Noir. This is a Maximal Sleek Satin formula. I was so incredibly excited about this one. It is a recent addition to my collection, but I've already worn it several times. I do feel like this sleek satin formula is slightly buildable, maybe not as much so as the Luster Glass Sheer Shine shades, but these don't have a full opacity right out of the gate. I've seen some tutorials of people sort of dabbing this onto their lips if they didn't want a really kind of full opacity moment like I'm doing right now. Compared to the shade Bare Maximal, I do feel like this one has just a touch more red in it. And of course it has a shinier finish on the lips. And here is what the second set of lipsticks looks like swatched to my arm. As I'm sure you could tell, I have been really excited about MAC bringing back these nude lipsticks. I think it's an absolutely beautiful, very inclusive range. And in general, I've just been very impressed with many of the launches this year. I feel like MAC is sort of truly coming back, and I'm definitely here for it. If I had to pick my top 3 shades from all of the shades that I tried on, I would say it would be Film Noir, I Deserve This, and Signature Move. And if I could include a 4th and a 5th shade, I would include Whirl and Alone Time. Let me know in the comments which shades were your favorite, or if you have any other favorites that I didn't include in this video. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.